Well, welcome everybody to another episode here. We are in the Pingry Middle School today with our one and only director of the middle school, Phil Cox. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. Hi, everybody.
We're here on a nice spring day on the Pingry campus, and we thought it'd be great to sit down with a special guest. Why don't you tell us who our special guest here is?
Yeah, great. We have with us today Mark Facciani, who is Director of Summer and Auxiliary Programs here at Pingry. We have an incredible program and a number of great aspects of that program coming up. Summer is just around the corner, so we thought it'd be great to have Mark come in and tell us a little bit more about the programs and what's on offer. So Mark, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Phil. Thanks, Kenny.
Yes. So we've thawed out on Pingry campus, and we finally are starting to think ahead of something a little bit warmer. So we're glad to have you here. So tell us a little bit about what's going on this summer and some of the options for parents.
Yeah, there are so many options, and I couldn't be more excited to share the information about Big Blue Summer, which is sort of our title that we developed last year to really capture everything that we have. Really, there are kind of three main areas in terms of what we have for students K to 12 on both campuses. So, summer academics, summer sports, and summer camps.
Right.
And really, they run from the first day after graduation, beginning on June 9th, running all the way through the middle of August. And this is really our second year of expanding those offerings, and just really excited about the content.
Let's talk about the first bucket. So what's the first bucket that you have that parents can grab a handle on?
So summer academics is really the area where we've probably expanded the most aggressively. And I think 2 years ago when we started and had an eye on developing more of an academic component, we had about 6 or 7 classes. We had over 20 last year that we offered, and now I believe we're up to 39. And so we're really excited about the development. And a lot of that's come from feedback from parents about the types of classes that their children might be interested in. We did a K to 12 survey that a lot of parents were kind enough to answer.
Oh, wow.
And so we were able to offer more classes that really would meet the needs of the community. So really there are 3 different distinct categories that I think are helpful for parents to think about, what might be interesting for my son or daughter to take an academic class this summer. The first would be what we call core classes. So let's say I have an 8th grade son who is having a fantastic year in math, or a 9th grade daughter that's having a fantastic year, and they want an opportunity to advance. So as of the summer of 2013, we began offering what we call these core classes for advancement. So they could take a 6-week, 4-hour-a-day summer course. It's an intensive commitment, but again, these are for high-achieving students that want the opportunity to advance. So if they got prior approval from the division director, math department chair, and their current teacher, they could take that course. And then if they successfully completed the course, the final exam really serves as the placement test. They could then advance a track for the upcoming year.
Nice. So how do parents go through that process? Because it sounds like it is a partnership between the families and the school to make those decisions.
Absolutely. Yeah, the way we go about this is really, it's based on the students' performance over the course of the year. And generally it is reserved for students who really are at the top level. These are students who not only can execute the mathematics, but also seem to have a deeper understanding and the nuanced understanding of math. So it's not either for the faint of heart, but it is also for the absolute top students. What generally happens is students or parents, with the help of their parents, express an interest to the student's current teacher. And the teacher has a conversation with the math department chair and also with me, and together we come up with a game plan.
So is it appropriate now, is this the time that the parents here, the families are watching now, that they should start to be thinking about the summer and approaching
Absolutely.
To see, I guess they should have a family discussion, is this a commitment that they're ready to take on?
Right.
And then talk to the teacher, right?
Absolutely. And those conversations have already begun. But it really is something that we want to have the families and the students, ideally the students, initiate. But our teachers are also always on the lookout for those students.
And then they work with your program, I guess, in terms of, is there admissions, is there a test, or how does that work?
So essentially, if we get the approval from all the appropriate parties from the administrative side, then students are entitled to take that course. Of course, I think Phil really hit the nail on the head that it's a dialogue. Because things change between February, March, and May sometimes. Most often, if a student's getting an A or an A+, and they're deemed as someone that's appropriate to take the course, then they're doing also wonderfully in the third trimester, and of course, they're off and running, they're able to take the course. Sometimes a student maybe perhaps has a sort of an underperforming trimester where maybe they got a B or a B minus or even a C plus, in which case, the dialogue might change somewhat, and in which case it probably wouldn't be appropriate to necessarily take that course over the summer for advancement. I also had some new families. It's neat to see how the program's evolved in its second year. I got to interact with parents at grade 9 accepted students day.
Right.
And so we had some parents for the first time that said, well, could I go about this process of taking a summer course for advancement? And I was able to walk them through the process to say there's sort of an extra piece for students coming into the school in which they would have to take a math placement test in May. And depending on that outcome, that might dictate whether they could take the course or not. Like if they were getting, they might be getting an A in their current geometry class and they wanted to then take our advanced algebra trigonometry program, but we might deem after the placement test that that's a great course for you to take during the school year upcoming, rather than as an advancement opportunity to go into even higher track. So it's definitely a dialogue.
So it sounds like the students should initiate the conversation. Some conversations are happening. If parents out there have questions, is it okay for them to contact you? And how would they get? Can you share your email address, your phone number? What's the best way to contact you?
Absolutely. My contact information, fortunately, is all over the website. I encourage people to talk to me all the time, whether it's placing a phone call or sending an email or even meeting in person, because I've done that. Sometimes there are more complicated or comprehensive situations.
So what's that? There's a special URL, easy to remember, right? So what's that URL?
So the URL is pingry.org/bigbluesummer. And one also a piece which has been great just for our visibility, I'm always finding that I'm interested in how many parents are still unaware that we even have summer programs in academics. Now there's a permanent home on the website with a tab that says Summer and Enrichment that's on the far right on the top. And that's been wonderful because last year, even after the summer, I found many parents saying, oh, I didn't know we offer academic programs, or do you have a website? And so now that there's that permanent place, I think it's going to help our own students and our own families, but then of course, families from the outside who might be interested in taking a course or enrolling in a camp.
What other stuff do we have going on this summer?
So, we began talking about the core classes, but, that's only 1/3 of the academic piece. The competitive edge workshops, I think, are probably the most meaningful offerings in terms of what we have in terms of content. A lot of 2-week, 2-hour-a-day programs that really are age appropriate and fit a particular need. So, for example, a rising 6th grader, whether someone coming from Short Hills that's making the transfer from lower school to middle school, or just a new student coming in 6th. I thought, what might be courses that, I would want as a parent for my rising 6th grader, or envisioning myself back as in the student shoes, what might be helpful for me as a new 6th grader. So we added a handful of new classes last year, including, Introduction to the Essay. 6th graders who might want that exposure to write a 5-paragraph essay for the first time, what better experience than to get a 2-week, 2-hour-a-day workshop from one of our own teachers. And we have those same types of programs for history research papers, for math previews. And then as you sort of, that model of the competitive edge workshop, we developed that in an age-appropriate spectrum. So 7th and 8th graders wouldn't necessarily be interested in an introduction to the essay, but they might want the advanced essay workshop. They might want an advanced literary workshop. They might want an algebra preview. So at every level, we added in content that we thought was suitable. This year, 9th grade, we have a biology preview, which is a new offering. So you don't necessarily get an entire year of biology in 2 weeks, but you are exposed to the types of skills that will be helpful to gain confidence in the upcoming year. We even have some new courses this year in upper school science. That was really one of the great findings from the survey, was that parents wanted more science content. So we have 2 very high-end research-oriented programs for rising 10th to 12th graders, one in environmental science and one in molecular biology. So it's been really fun, again, to work with parents, have the dialogue to see what needs are out there that will, of course, fit the needs of Pingry students and also students from the surrounding communities.
One of the courses I remember from last summer was a leadership course.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about that? And I believe you were the teacher.
Yes.
And I was really impressed by that course, but maybe you could tell the folks something about that.
So the last bucket of what I would consider academic programs would be called enrichment. So these would be areas where, a child would want to maybe further themselves in an area, but really just there isn't necessarily a particular skill that would be a focus, but really they have a curiosity about an area or a passion in developing something further. So most of those courses in the enrichment category are of the 1-week variety, but we did have a few that were in the sort of 2 to 3 week range. So last summer, just, again, I always felt as though, middle school is a great age to begin thinking about leadership. And really, rising 8th and 9th graders, that's about the first time where they can meaningfully really step outside themselves and think about the world outside of their own. It's neat to talk about the concepts when kids are in first grade or second grade or sixth grade, but I think as you're becoming an eighth grader, you're sort of we hope for them to be the leaders of the middle school, and as they transition to high school, that they're looking beyond. So I developed a program last year that would combine a couple different areas. So there's a classroom component that's about an hour and a half every day, over a 3-week span, and we would work on public speaking, conflict resolution. So, what do you get if you're in these small group environments and 2 people or 3 people or maybe more have different points of view? How do you resolve a conflict successfully? We explored ethical and moral dilemmas. What do you do if you're in a situation where you've got to choose between 2 different options and both of them have a consequence? So those are the types of scenarios that we explore in the program. And so the classroom component every day deals with those issues. Another component of the program with the youth leadership is that the kids, I think that program needs a context. So what we did was we attached that to the day camp. So we would have all of the youth leaders be mentored by an adult counselor in the camp. So every day they would get, for the remaining roughly 4.5 hours of the day, they would get that synergy where they would work with an older counselor. They would get sort of a narrative report each week to talk about their strengths and then their areas where they could grow. And it was just great for the kids to work with different age groups to then come back and share their experiences of working with younger children, which every day is different. And it was just a great training ground for that piece. The last component also being that we had Red Cross certifications, because as rising 8th and 9th graders, they're not quite ready to sort of enter the teen job market yet. But down the road, they might be looking to be a day camp counselor. They might be looking to babysit. So we offered 3 Red Cross certifications as part of that program.
That's great. It's great.
What about, there's another big bucket, right? So that's not all. That's the academic, et cetera. What's the next big bucket of programs?
So sports is really the next option for children on both campuses. The first few weeks at Short Hills, we have a lot going on. Those really have organically grown quite a bit, where I think there was an understanding that a lot of the public schools are not out. Maybe families had children across different schools. And so over time, the offerings have really grown on the Short Hills campus. Most of those are half-day sports-specific camps. So we have basketball, we have a girls lacrosse program. We've now added in a boys lacrosse component down there. We have the golf camp. And we actually have a new camp that we're running later in the summer that's going to be an all-sports camp. And what's kind of nice to have seen again with the evolution in year 2 is that the majority of those programs are run by Pingry coaches, but we also have some great outside partners that have brought expertise in areas that we don't. So for example, that fundamental sports camp will be a great new offering. Summing Up Lacrosse brought a fantastic girls lacrosse program. Now they're going to add a boys lacrosse component.
Girls lacrosse last year, right?
Yes.
And so you're augmenting that program.
Correct. Now it's going to be additionally a K-4 program for boys during the same week.
Nice.
So that's a great opportunity. Then at the Basking Ridge campus, really, again, beginning the week of June 9th, so day after graduation, going all the way through the middle of August, we've got sports-specific camps as well. Coach Boyari, of course, is running 2 weeks of soccer camp, one first week out and one in August. One is a Pingry-only camp. The one in August is open to the community, and that's a fantastic program he's run for many years.
It's going to be on the World Cup soccer field?
You know what? They really use just about every field on campus.
Nice.
So we get a great turnout, and and that's a camp that's really grades 3 through 12. So you see really soccer really becomes really kind of dominates the campus on that week. In addition to the day camp running, we also have a basketball camp that's run by Coach Murdoch and Tierney. Coach Webster runs a lacrosse camp, and then a new partner for us, MTCC, MenhamTennisClub.com. They're running 7 weeks of camps, half and full day on this campus. So a lot of sports specific options, Short Hills and Basking Ridge.
I love the fact that there are options for both campuses. In fact, there's some busing options too that's included, right? Like there's
yes, is that right? Yep, and that's a great segue to kind of to talk about the evolution with the day camp. So this year, for the first time, we're offering a transportation option. Jerry Vanas has become our new day camp director for the summer of 2014. And we're very excited about Jerry. He had over 20 years of experience between his former school in Connecticut and then Gill St. Bernard's. And now Pingry's day camp has been rebranded Pingry's Mega V Day Camp. And yes, the V is for Vanas, everybody asked. So he has all kinds of great original content with the camp. He's got these great original games that he has coined Animal Rescue, Mega V-Ball, Capture the Universe. And what I like about his games is, of course, it's a great way for kids just to capture the joy of fun and sort of the backyard games that maybe we played when we were younger, but they also involve a lot of strategy and teamwork and cooperation. So you don't have to be the fastest or strongest kid to be able to have fun. Everybody's involved, and he has just an innate ability to create those connections. It also keeps all the pieces of the day camp, which were great in the past, swim instruction, arts and crafts, and some of the staples that we've had, but I think it's going to really revitalize the day camp. And now we're offering the transportation. A lot of Short Hills families were interested, and now we offer round trip in our Pingry vans from Short Hills to Basking Ridge for those 6 weeks.
That's terrific. That's a great addition.
You going to be driving the van?
I will not be driving one of the vans, fortunately. I don't know if you've had much interaction, Kenny, with Jerry Vanas, but he's got a great spirit, love of kids, and incredible enthusiasm. That's going to be a great camp.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. And to give the Short Hills folks another opportunity to get a taste of it, we're adding in a half-day program for the week of June 16th. The golf camp has always been extremely popular, as well as...
well, that one sells out usually, right?
It sells out within a week usually. It's because we have limited space, unfortunately. So we cap the enrollment because of safety reasons. But because that program's always been very popular down at Short Hills that week, as well as the Stepping Stones program, which is Carolyn Gibson runs a 2-week academic program, we thought, what a great option to have a half-day afternoon, because so many families would love the chance for have their kids be on campus for the day. So I think that's a great opportunity for kids to get a taste of Mega V, see what it's all about, and I'm sure they'll love it, and then be excited potentially, if schedules permit, to take part in the Basking Ridge.
So let me get that straight. On the lower school campus, you're going to have an afternoon option.
Yes.
That can actually flow from the morning, so they can participate in both and stay on campus all day.
That's right. That's right. And really, for those 3 weeks that we're offering, June 9th, June 16th, and June 23rd, we either have full-day camp options, or we've kind of added in a series of half-day options. So families really could be on Short Hills for the entire day for those 3 weeks, given a variety of different interests across sports and camps and academics.
Yeah, as a parent, thank you. Thank you for thinking about us for a little bit. That's great. It's practical. So there's a lot of options that we just went over.
Yes.
Again, where can they find all this information? I'm sure it's laid out beautifully, easily to consume somewhere.
Yes.
Remind us where they can find the information.
So the URL is pingry.org/bigbluesummer. And also, again, there's that permanent home on the website, that summer and enrichment tab. And really, you can navigate to all the subpages. So if you're interested in sports camps exclusively, you can click on that tab. We added a new function this year based on some of your feedback that, geez, I just want to be able to plan and look by week. What can I see what's offered by week? We added a summer programs by week tab. So you can really see everything going on. So if I want to see, we're going to be away from the weeks of June 9th through June 30th, but really from July 7th on, we're going to be home. What's offered? So you can really navigate to that page and really be able to see, again, across camps, sports, and academics, what might be available. But again, I think that my role is really to help facilitate. So again, I have so many conversations with parents. A conversation I've had twice in the last week has been, geez, Mark, I love this one workshop. I really want to take the advanced literary workshop in the morning, and it runs for these 3 weeks. But it ends at 10:45. What can I do for the rest of the day? I have a rising 7th grader. Well, my role, again, is to facilitate. So oftentimes what I'll say is, listen, well, there really are a couple different options. It's a great chance to join the day camp for the remainder of the day, and we would prorate that option to be able to make a flexible opportunity for you. You might be able to join the tennis camp for the remainder of the day. So you can kind of mix the academic and the recreation. So whether you want to get a different texture across several weeks of the summer, or whether you might even want to do something within a given week, there are opportunities to do so. And I think that's where my role is helpful in understanding that you can navigate it and create that opportunity. I think over time we'll have even more and more options, but right now, and I think that's why I encourage parents to reach out to me, whether it's during the spring, during the summer, in the fall, because I think that we'll only continue to be able to enhance the options with great feedback from parents about what's working, and then their feedback on what can be enhanced.
And in terms of the setting, I know the academic courses are held here in the beautiful air-conditioned middle school building, which is convenient, especially for the academic kids when they're working. What other areas of the campus are you taking advantage of?
Really the middle school again is a permanent home for those summer academic courses. The overwhelming majority are here. One or two of those high school courses I mentioned earlier will be in the upper school science wing, but really the academics are essentially going to be here. The sports camps will use all the sort of logical fields. The Babbitt turf will be in use for lacrosse camp and the soccer camp.
Right.
Again, when it comes later for the soccer camp, you'll see all those fields in use. And the day camp will use an overwhelming piece of the facility, including when they do their end of the week shows. I imagine they'll use McRae Theater. The multi-purpose room for the day camp is going to be transferred this year. It used to be our cafeteria. Now it's going to be the game room. Again, nice, great air-conditioned space.
Nice.
You'll have knock hockey and foosball and any other fun machinery that Jerry might bring in. I was talking about trying to get a pinball machine. So that's going to be a great new space that we're going to utilize. The pool, of course, will be a central focal point of the day camp. So it's great. And then again, with some of the new courses, I think we'll probably also be expanding a bit in terms of using facility in new ways. One of the new enrichment courses this year, which I just think is fantastic, is surviving the environment. So David Maxwell, who's an upper school science teacher, developed this course that's intended to be a middle school enrichment. Mm-hmm. So it's a 1-week course. It's roughly 3 hours a day. And they'll read a book called Hatchet, which is sort of a survival story for, a young boy in the wilderness. And then so there's a classroom component, but the majority of the class will be working outside. How do you build a shelter? How do you survive in the environment given the elements?
So there's a little outdoors here.
I imagine if we looked out the window right here, you might see them sort of in the woods doing some exciting skills there. So I think that we'll be using the campus in some fun, creative ways, and I just expect that to continue in years to come.
Well, we have a number of middle school 6th grade boys who are convinced the zombie apocalypse is coming, so maybe this is a good way to prepare.
Absolutely, yeah. I wonder if that'll be that could be a regular program.
It could be a driving force. You never know.
Well, thanks for spending. I know you're busy. Thank you for stopping by. We are looking forward to the summer. I know as a parent from the lower school when our kids were smaller, this was a great way to introduce the upper school, middle school facilities because they don't really get a chance to come up here that often. And the fact that we have facility like first-class facilities like the pool within our own campus here, it's a great way to take advantage of that, no matter which campus the family's from. That this is a great place to do that, right?
Absolutely. And I think one of the fun pieces for me is also again to see in year 2 how some of the stories and anecdotes that develop. I think of course we want all of the Pingry students to have a great experience, whether it's the day camp or a summer academic course or a sports camp.
And from my experience in position as middle school director, I love that you're offering a program that is intellectually challenging, fun, and safe. And I think that is as much as I could hope for our kids over the summer, and convenient for families as well. So,
and a special thank you to Phil Cox and Ted Corvino and to Denise Brown-Allen, because behind the scenes, a lot of those conversations in collaboration with them really are what ends up making our summer academic offerings so great. It's been fun to collaborate and talk about what are some needs that we see, who are some great teachers to be able to identify who can run a great program, and again, that's an organic process that certainly couldn't happen without some great support from the division directors and really the whole community. So it's been fun working with you on developing some of those pieces, and again, I just look for it to continue to improve as the years come.
Well, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks very much, Mark.
Thank you both.
And we'll get more information online again at pingry.org/bigbluesummer.
Great.
Till next time, take care.